A couple of days, Paul, since the game against Rotherham at the weekend. Have you had any time to have any further reflections on that game?
Not loads of time, but a little bit. And yeah, still in that sort of moment, I think, and thinking of good point, bad point. I don't think there's ever a really bad point, but I stand by. It felt like the game was there to have taken all three, and you know, I've heard some comments since from maybe the opposition that I wouldn't totally agree with. No probably surprise on that, but I think while they had some territory, I think Toby didn't really have a save to make. So from that point of view, like I said, frustrating with a dubious decision that helped them get the equaliser. So yeah, we move on. I think what was important was that we took something from the game, and while, like I said, I think it could have been 3 points at least, we stopped that run of defeats, and as I've said, we've got to try and build on that by taking something from the Stockport game as well.
That was something that we spoke about, didn't we, post-match, about was that game considered progress, and the fact that obviously we kind of stopped the run of defeats. Is that something that you've reflected on now and things changed?
A little bit. I don't know if it's real progress. It's just, I guess, like I say, it's a point, and from that point of view, looking at results in general, it is a step in the right direction. But I think sometimes we can all get carried away, or people make comments quickly about, what an improvement. I think I said, in my view, we played better at Mansfield than we did on Saturday, but we didn't take anything. Now, so is that progress? In one sense, yes. In one sense, no. If you take that way of thinking, and while teams can get on runs often, there's also, for me, like, each game is very unique and individual, and people can sometimes get carried away. If you're on a winning streak where you don't play particularly well but you win, like I said, you don't really care in a lot of ways, and likewise you can get too sort of down about if you're not getting results but you're playing well. Now, along the way you want a balance between the two. So Saturday has been and gone. Tuesday night will be a totally different game, obviously different opposition, different style probably, and let's see how we turn up and how we perform.
It's a quick turnaround, isn't it, in between games? How did everybody come through Saturday? Is there any, other than the ones that we know about, is there any other injury concerns?
No, I don't think so. Looks like we're okay from that point of view, which is nice. Tommy trained today. He was out there in terms of joining in with the group, so all good from that.
And obviously Josh came off. He looked as if he was stretching his hamstring. How's he recovered after?
He seems good. So it's a little bit strange now whether it is literally sort of a bit of fatigue and match fitness, which is unfortunately understandable to a degree. I think he's only played one full 90 for us, and I think before that it was something like January. So if you take that, like I said, there is sort of maybe a reason that he is tiring a little bit or feeling, muscle fatigue. We just got to be careful because of the injury that he had, and we don't want to lose him for a long period. So fingers crossed, he looks like he's fit and ready to go, and there's certainly no damage. Like I said, more just fatigue.
We talked about Carl Winchester after the game. He kind of limped around the pitch, didn't he? And you said that's kind of that he generally does anyway. How's he? Is he pulled up okay?
We kept him inside today. I'll make a call on that tomorrow. But again, typical of the way when he is. Ask him if it's all right. He said he could feel it. It's a bit painful. I think there's a bit of a bang there. He thought it was not from a kick, but then speaking in medical, he said it's kind of almost representing as though it is a kick, but he says he'll be okay. And again, we've got to be careful on that one, that we can't send him out there at 60%, so I'll reserve sort of a call on that until tomorrow.
Without wanting to talk too much about people who aren't in the team, we haven't spoken for a while on Josh Coyote.
Yeah.
Just saw him at the ground on Saturday. How's he going with his rehab? Is he a couple of weeks away now?
He's due out on the grass tomorrow, and by that I mean as in that's progress from being just in the gym and doing work. So I think everything's good in terms of what the initial thought process was and the recovery time and schedule for return. So fingers crossed that can keep going. He's not going to obviously be any good for tomorrow or Saturday. The week after, I'm not sure, in all honesty, but hopefully by that stage we'll have seen him out on the grass and he'll have had a few sessions outside under his belt that certainly will edge him closer to a return.
I know something that you were asked about last week was formations, and I wondered if that's something that you've given any more consideration to, perhaps with a different opposition, or if that's something that you're perhaps thinking about ahead of this game. And
I think more just for us, really, rather than particularly opposition. I think Stockport, the way that they've gone about what they're doing, they've changed quite a lot. Some things are pretty consistent, you know, depending on what formation they play still. But they've definitely changed things around. They did the other day in the game. And sometimes that can be dictated by the scoreline, sometimes that might be, you know, just the way that you see the game. So I don't think the easiest opposition to set up for in terms of, you know, I'm sort of 99% confident they're going to turn up and play this way. So from that point of view, I think it's more about what I feel's right for us. And then the interesting part is it kicks off and, you know, who's on top of the game, what the formations are and who's causing who problems. Like I said, I think at times you can certainly help with the way you set up, but ultimately it's, you know, 11v11 and players will dictate to a degree. You know, I think it's very easy for people to say, oh, he got it wrong. Well, maybe the players just aren't doing what's being asked of them. So it's not the formation. We all know there's lots of different formations that teams play. There's not a wrong or right way. If I start playing my goalkeeper on the right wing, then yeah, I'll hold my hand up and say, probably got that wrong. But in general, you know, you're reliant on players trying to perform what's being asked of them and to their best ability to make it work.
I just wanted to ask you what you've made of Stockport. I mean, they started the season pretty well with 3 wins. They've kind of gone on a bit of a, not a lean trot, but a leaner trot in recent weeks. Have you had much chance to have a look at them? Yeah,
no, I've seen quite a bit of them. And I think overall, while they've signed some new players, of course, there's certainly still a group of players there that we know very well, even from sort of the National League, sort of, you know, competing for promotion with them from there, and then in League Two, seeing them just missed out on, you know, back-to-back promotions. The year after secured that, and are very much a club on the up. You know, a very good facilities there. I think everything's in place just to keep going, and I think that'll be the aim for them. Realistically, they might not want to. I don't know. I haven't looked too much how loudly they've shouted about that, but I'm pretty sure in-house the aim will be to try and, you know, get in the playoff contention, promotion contention again. Some very good individuals, and like I said, lots of options for Dave. He spoke after the game at the weekend about leaving a group of players behind to train that he might call upon, you know, for Tuesday night. So that shows the strength that they've got in their squad, even with some injuries. So yeah, we know what type of game it's going to be. And just finally from me, just something that we discussed on Saturday post-match was kind of the pattern of the good first halves, and I just wanted to kind of get your take on that a little bit more. Just obviously you mentioned about the fact that sometimes that can be the opposition and reacting to that and telling offs by their own coach that might make them come out and be a little... I like that, telling off. I like that. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because I know we discussed it on the post-match. Yeah, I think it's just... I'm not trying to... I don't hide away from anything. I think it's something that's happened. Now, how much we're responsible for that ourselves and the opposition, as you discussed, is certainly up for debate. And are we not do we take our foot off the gas? That's certainly not the message. Are we capable of playing for longer than 45 minutes, you know, consistently? They obviously did change shape, so back to that, they changed the formation, they obviously got a response, felt like it worked for them. I think Mansfield did exactly the same. So, you know, if you're on top of the game, you're obviously reluctant to change yourself. As it progresses, then you might have to do that, which we tried to do on Saturday. Watching the game back today, I think they start the second half well. Then I thought we got a foothold back in the game, to be honest, and it wasn't quite as one-sided as perhaps was being suggested. So, yeah, it's something like I will look at, and we are discussing, but I'm not sure there's particularly one magic reason for it that if I knew it and we could change it, obviously I would do.